All right. Good morning, everybody. Make sure we are good to go here. Sure. All right. Okay. So, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is July 27th, 2022. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to sort of mid-earnings week, one of the bigger earnings weeks that we have to look forward to this particular quarter. And we saw a couple of names come out of high impact for the S&P. Overall, the movement for these stocks was in line with expectations, and we'll look at that from the option market perspective in just a moment. But we also want to kind of note the gap up open this morning and some of the nuance that the S&P has been providing for us as short-term traders. First things first, we'll kind of start off with the expected move for the week. S&Ps are still within those bounds. We really haven't moved anywhere as of this morning, given that we are gapping up into approximately Friday's close. So if you look at overall performance on the week, we're sitting on essentially a in formation pin bar style candle where we've seen some downside and have recovered so far this morning. But a couple of notes from Monday, and this is going to be on the SPY ETF specifically. I brought to attention two specific levels on Monday, and that was the morning balance low at 394.03, along with the high end of the morning session, which was approximately, and this number I don't have on hand, I'll just call it 395.90. That might not be exact. 395.91. It is exact. Okay. So I brought to attention these two levels because on Monday we saw the market in balance. We saw essentially a high and a low get established. Most of the intraday trade was fully captured within that, and even the small external breaches recovered back inside and made full range transitions, telling us that these levels are very important for the market moving forward. And I wanted to highlight the bottom side because we did have a gap down open yesterday. And as I remove the extended hours just to show where the market opened and where we started to sell off from, it's notable that the S&P actually printed into the balance lows and saw selling pressure for most of yesterday's session, indicating that as a long we had to be extremely careful, not necessarily because we were in a downtrend, because we rejected balance early and had not really formed clarity on support quite yet. We didn't really have a very established level to trade off of throughout the session. So the S&P saw follow through for most of the session to the downside. We bottomed out at around 390 on yesterday's session. And then, of course, the earnings, as I turn back on extended hours, you'll notice that we actually pushed back into our balance range. So the reason I bring these levels back up is I believe they're going to be of importance today. We're obviously sitting slightly above our balance range lows. So if the market can rally this morning, I'd be looking to target the balance range high at about 395.91. If we push through this area, then obviously we have a bit of a structured breakout. And that's going to look conceptually like a 4-hour pullback, a 1-hour test of the 200 period moving average. And on this particular time frame, you'll notice some structure that looks more like an inverse head and shoulder, more to just say that we pulled down, returned to balance, and if we do break out, that's going to be a balance range breakout. It's going to be very challenging to do that. Balance rules dictate that more often than not, you're going to stay within balance. But just to note that on the upside, we would need some clear volume above 395.91. So if we do sell off today, once again, I would need to see the balance lows be lost. And if we do sell off, I think this area of the market is suspect for any sort of stable price activity until we get to this particular price level here. The reason I bring it into focus once again is simply because this is where the low end of the market sell-off was before we had a pullback. And this particular pullback is the one that rejected yesterday or Monday's lows. So it's a pretty important swing low. And then it became a swing high area for the rest of the selling yesterday. So if we were to see more selling in the S&P, then ultimately coming down to these levels would be equivalent to retesting a lower bound support. The white area is your market hours. The grayish area is both after hours and pre-market. Unfortunately, there's no line. I think I took it off just to clear up the chart. So if you're trading the S&Ps, there's clear levels of what I'll call support and resistance, but the nuance there is that they're formed by balance ranges. They're where markets have transacted, and more specifically on a Monday session, when the market opens in balance and stays in balance for most of the session, that's kind of the area that the market pivots around. For most of the rest of the week, you'll see trade either occur below this area and obviously downtrend behavior below the balance range. But if you can get above it, in this case, we're obviously looking for a rally to continue. That would be equivalent to us saying that we're still in an uptrend. And this is where I bring up things like the hourly chart, pulling back to the 200 period, responding quite strongly on yesterday's session. And then, of course, earnings bringing us back higher. And as I bring up a 4-hour chart, you're going to notice similar reactions. This is just because the 50 and the 200 are equivalent on the 1 and 4 hour respectively. Nope, I said it wrong. 4 hour and 1 hour respectively. So, I'm just multiplying the moving average by 4 based on the time frame. But all in all, what we're looking at here is, okay, we were selling. We certainly had a downtrend, and we've just broken this downtrend line. So the question remains, are we in need of a back test or a pullback? How far do we expect that to go? And if that is not needed, we need to break out and obviously extend past this balance range for the first time this week. So all of these are tradable suggestions for today. Obviously, we have some stocks that are going to drive market movement. And for that, we'll take a look at our big earnings plays over the after hours yesterday. So first things first, let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft was looking at approximately a $13 expected move, and Microsoft sold off yesterday to approximately $250 before closing at about $252. If you're looking at the expected move, 13 points from about a 252 range, that brings you about approximately to about 265. And that's to the top side. We looked at some of the option open interest yesterday and noticed that 270 was pretty heavy yesterday. It actually got heavier throughout the session as some participation occurred at 270. And obviously those contracts got calculated after the close. Now notice where Microsoft ended up. We obviously had two types of reactions. First, the earnings announcement itself. That's that first 5-minute candle where we did see lower testing at about 243. But the full reaction, the full earnings conference call included, brought us to approximately 270. Now we're pulling back in this morning. Obviously, as a bull, I'd be a little cautious of a fade. But if markets are to continue, I'd want to see the pre-market set up somewhere around yesterday's high. Because if yesterday's high was the day to hedge or to prepare for the event, and we are bullish, then we need to basically reclaim yesterday's high and use it as support. Main note here, however, is the expected move for Microsoft was in line. Nothing really surprising here, albeit this movement is wide, it's still what the option market expected. And you're going to see that theme as we go to our other stocks. Google, for example, pricing about a $7 expected move. Once again, 105 close, we're opening at about 110, and the high end of our reaction was 111. So we were well within our expected move, a dollar or two below if you're using exact pricing. You look at something like Visa. Visa is another big tech name. This one should be pretty obvious because we are opening relatively flat. But even the top side and bottom side of these moves, you notice where we close, 212.50. And you notice in this case where we are, 212, no movement there. But our top side reaction was 220. The expected move, the high end of our volatility was about $10. So could have pushed a little higher, but 220 stood out both slightly with open interest. Visa's maybe not as clean as some of the other names. And of course, if it did go lower, we'd be looking closer to 200. These are just price levels that have the most participation. And due to that participation, the market calculates the expected move. So it's a bit of a cyclical back and forth type of trade. Markets want to go where the biggest transactional value sits, and participation in the market can derive how wide the volatility should be. So it tends to kind of feed upon itself. A couple of other names, I'll just go through these quickly. TXN, about an $8 expected move. We saw a close around 161 and a top side of 172. So ultimately that did go slightly higher by a dollar or two and has already pulled back into its expected range. And we're also going to see stocks like Chipotle. This one was kind of a more interesting name. One, it's a bigger mover, had about 100, I'll just say 95 point expected move. If you look at an at the money straddle, this is kind of the cheap and quick way to do this type of calculation. We're looking at about 95 points. The stock is a higher price, and it did move slightly over $100 per share. But notably, this was sort of the outer bound of its expected move. This is one of those stocks that actually may continue higher simply because it's sitting outside its expected move currently. So if there is any sort of technical bid, or if we just see a breakout type structure, since we're trading above most of June and July trade, I think we're sitting slightly higher than this print here. Just that alone could sort of drive a little bit of an upward movement in the stock. And obviously that would be a breach of expected move. But most of our market notable names, ENPH for the solar sector, $25 expected move. You price a 215 straddle, you'll see a similar number, about $24 of pricing here. That's where we closed. And you look at where it is today, along with where did it get to in the reaction. This is all just kind of driving the fact that expected move is very powerful during earnings. And then last but not least, BA, which did just report this morning. So we're actually seeing that volatility currently. But what did the market expect? We closed at about 156. We're looking at currently pricing about 160, $8 of expected movement, and the high end from 156 was 163.88. That's about as precise as it can be. You know, in terms of the actual width of the movement, you know, $8 to $9, and we're pretty much hitting $8 to $9. That's usually what you're going to find with expected move. It's within those bounds, and it often sort of fades back inside of those ranges. So what this reiterates is during earnings, volatility is a big factor for market movement. What the option market prices tends to somewhat drive the actual reaction itself. And regardless of if it's bullish or bearish, the movement volatility, the range to expect should be something you can anticipate. You can sell the expected move. And as an earnings trader, you may want to consider these strategies in your trade book, so long as you're taking advantage of earnings volatility. Because no matter how you approach earnings, these numbers are going to drive where the stock tends to top out, where the stock tends to actually go in the first place, and ultimately when you're taking a higher risk position. Anything that's above and beyond those numbers is inherently a lower probability event based on the option market. So some ways to kind of take advantage of this is prior to earnings, a lot of people are looking to calculate these numbers, basically get as close to what the close is going to be for the earnings itself, and going out and selling the expected move. How you go about selling that is up to you, but I mostly would recommend anything that has a defined risk. Things like condors are a great starting point because you're essentially agnostic to the direction of the move, and you're mostly looking for the market to stay within those bounds, along with capturing a little bit of the volatility decay, albeit selling a condor does protect you from volatility contraction. You could also look to sell things like straddles and strangles. Notably, those are used for wider expected move breaches, but you can also use those strategies depending on your strikes to kind of target where the expected move levels are. And there's plenty of ways to kind of structure that. You can also do it across different series. Don't forget that there are ways to play the high IV in the earnings series, and then use that higher volatility to basically protect against a net, I'll just say like a credit sort of premium. So if you're selling in the high vol series, you can hedge using a lower vol series on the back end. And what that does is it's cheaper to hedge your inherently undefined risk exposure in the front end series. So some strategies there would be things like calendars, which you can do and set up somewhat early, allow the volatility to expand, and sometimes even take those off before earnings, capturing some of the premium and really avoiding the risk of the uncertainty of earnings. But those are all strategies where you're basically going into earnings, noting that the volatility is going to be high, and using that high reading to take advantage of what people are doing, which is protecting against the volatility itself. So, last but not least, I would say if you are trading the actual reaction, this is something that we currently do in the Bear Bull Trader chat room. If we are trading earnings, we need to know how far the stock is expected to go. Because if I'm bullish or bearish using some breakout or just defined risk intraday or after hour strategy, I need to know that the stock has a certain potential to move. And with those types of trades, you often want to mark your top end and your bottom end, regardless if the stock goes bullish or bearish. At least you know that if it gets to those levels, that's where the market is pricing, and you really don't expect it to go too much further. Maybe to a psychological price, or maybe just a slight look above those levels. But ultimately, you're holding a lot of risk, and you want to have targets in mind. So no matter how you use this information, at the end of the day, it really is just that. It's core information that the market generates for us prior to a reaction. And it somewhat demystifies the volatility that we see in earnings. I mean, At the end of the day, Microsoft came out with decent earnings, Google not so much, Boeing is still losing money, and across the board, everybody has their opinion on what these stocks should be priced at. But at what we're seeing is the option market pricing reigns supreme. It's the king, and it dictates the move. So for now, and as we look into the rest of the week, we have stocks like Meta. They're about to report this afternoon. Be looking at these volatility readings. Meta is one of the higher IV stocks that we have currently. Similar to Netflix, they're really pricing this premium quite high overall because the market is a bit fearful of what occurred last earnings, which was a massive gap down. So coming into Meta's earnings, taking those strategies, whether you're selling or doing something with the volatility, understand that there could still be a surprise here. They're pricing volatility appropriately in case there is a surprise. The hedging premium is higher because, to kind of quote similar metaphors to how the option market works, if there's a hurricane out in the Gulf, you're going to have to pay more for insurance on your house. And people see a little bit of a storm brewing with these types of stocks. That doesn't mean that the hurricane is going to hit, but it's definitely a higher probability. So you have to pay more to protect against that volatility. If we're looking at it just directly, then depending on where Meta closes today, we're going to look at, did the IV go up this session? Did people continue to price these options higher and higher? Did the expected move expand based on that volatility reading? And where did we close? You combine all that with where the highest open interest is on the stock. Things like 200 are going to stand out because they're psychological, but they're also a little bit outside the expected move, at least currently. That would be basically a 2 sigma or 2 times expected move breach if Meta made it to 200. And yet it's still the highest OI. So you want to kind of have some ideas about where's your OI relative to the movement being priced. For now, about 180 top side, and for downside, probably closer to 140. Those are going to be some of your higher volume nodes. They match the expected move, but surprises can happen, and people are somewhat expecting bigger movement in the stock. So don't be surprised if we see it. And you combine that with some of our other earnings coming up. I'll bring over the calendar for that. Meta specifically is not showing accurately in this particular tool, so I just wanted to highlight that from yesterday. But for this after hours, we have things like Qualcomm, T-Mobile, which might be one to focus in on because of what's been happening with the service providers like Verizon and AT&T. ServiceNow, one of kind of a higher PE, previously high PE trading stock. That one tends to move quite a bit. And then as you go down the list, you might find some interest in Ford or something like an ALGN, which used to be a decent trader. Obviously, the market has corrected these stocks quite heavily. So their market caps are reflecting that accordingly. So just preparing for after hours today. Have these names on your list. If you are trading after hours, use the strategies that we're defining here. Look at expected move, look at where market participation happens to be, and don't be surprised if we move that volatility but stay within it. Expected move is all about high probability ranges. Anything above and beyond is more of a low probability event, but the market can be pricing that in to some degree. And that's going to be more on your overall IV readings. So a couple of questions coming in. How about playing a straddle ahead of earnings to take advantage of the crease in IV? If you're selling the straddle, That's ultimately what most people are doing. They're looking for contraction in the IV. Because if you look at the position of selling the straddle, I'll use something like Meta, for example. If I go and sell an at the money straddle, I'm selling something like a 162.5, and I'm selling a 162.5 call and put. That's a sold straddle. It's going to bring in a ton of credit. But obviously, if this stock really moves far away from the expected move, this is how far I want it to move or less. I want it to stay within about an 18-point range. If it moves much further, what's going to happen is the delta will affect the credit that you took in, and you'll start to see just a net loss on the position. But conceptually, what you're doing here is you're selling Vega. Both of these calls and puts have a positive Vega. So by selling them, you're net short 0.1 Vega because you have one call and one put. If this number here, this IV reading drops significantly, which it should after earnings, that Vega net, that negative Vega that you're holding will basically contract the credit that these two contracts are worth. And if the stock really doesn't move, this can be one of those home run trades, because basically if it doesn't move, you don't have to worry about any sort of delta appreciation. So selling straddles is all about that. Buying a straddle would be as if you expect something bigger. If you expect something wider than what the expected move is, you're playing the opposite direction. So these are the strategies that people use. And whether you do a straddle or a strangle, Brian, you're asking about a strangle now. The strategy is the same. It's just about whether you want to concentrate your risk in the center. And it doesn't have to be at the money. I'm just choosing a particular strike. Or you can set up your range. Where do you want to be selling the call and the put? And that'll define basically two price levels that, as long as it stays within them, you should see a net positive return after earnings, because you're basically capturing volatility in between coming down. So straddle or strangle, that strategy conceptually is the same. The straddle is more about pure volatility contraction. The strangle, you're kind of widening out your range a little bit. You can look at the risk profile to get a sense of that. So can you guys look at TQQQ? So for any leverage position, I think you often want to be looking at the thing it's tracking. For the TQQQ, look at the NASDAQ. Arguably, we are trying to set up a short-term uptrend because we have the 20 and the 50 trying to cross. As long as the bulls are holding in this area, we can start to see more of a bullish lean moving forward, as long as the moving averages are kind of set up in that way. And even if it's a slower grind, it's conceptually a short to medium term uptrend based on the moving averages. We're also holding things like relative trend lines. So, arguably the risk is a little higher here because we could pull in a bit further, but we're also looking at a rally that may be trying to actually accelerate. And that would be a more speculative trend line somewhere around this area. So, for now, our lower bound trend line is the higher lows that the market had made. We broke out of our swing high, and therefore we're speculating that this is the new trend line. That would be if the market prints a low here and makes a new swing high. That becomes our trend line. But for now, it's still speculative. So, and yeah, that would be, of course, if you're bullish. So, define your risk or reward. When is the position wrong? And if you're just building position, arguably this is a fine entry point for a lot of participants. The market's already corrected somewhere about 33% in the NASDAQ, I want to say. What's the low end here? I always forget my numbers. Yeah, 34%. So even if you enter today, you're basically buying a 28% correction in the NASDAQ. Now you're using a leveraged product, so that is up to your own risk profile to define. Okay, well, I'll let Carlos and Norm take over with pre-market prep. We do have Fed later this afternoon, so prepare for that as well. Norm will talk about that a little bit more in depth. And as always, trade safe. That's it for engineering the market. I'll see y'all tomorrow, and we'll kind of round out the week and hopefully round out our earnings for Thursday afternoon. So trade safe, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Guys, let's give a big thumbs up over to Jared for engineering the market. And good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. Ryan pointing see if someone noticed the change we made today. Ryan pointing out that we did add Jared to the pre-market thumbnail. So yeah, we threw Jared in there. He deserves to be there, of course. So thanks to Lee. She does an amazing job with all our graphics. She doesn't get credit publicly like this, but a lot of the work you see on our website and our thumbnails and graphics for the pre-market show is done by her. She does an incredible job. So
And I'm
thank you,
I'm
Lee.
gonna I'm gonna do this now instead of waiting 20
Yeah.
minutes or whatever when you're gonna ask me what to watch,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching, because it'll then be on the gappers list and we'll already have gone over that.
Yes.
Shopify, shop
Ooh, you're
starting to
coming hot and
move.
early. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pointing
Man,
that out
look
now
at
because it'll probably
this.
be on the gappers list by the time you ask me.
What
It's
is
rolling.
going on? Is this earnings normal or I mean,
Yeah,
they had
yeah.
the layoffs yesterday and
Yeah,
today
they had
earnings.
earnings this morning, and my guess is, and I can find out while you go through yesterday's plays. My guess is the because the earnings came out a while back,
Okay, okay.
I believe, but the conference call, my guess is what's going on right now.
Gotcha. Wow, this is a lot going on with Shopify. And actually yesterday they traded pretty decent. Not great, but decent. Today definitely on the list, my friend. Absolutely. So at Shopify here, guys. Um Yesterday it was pretty much the same song and dance for a lot of the tickers that we had on deck, starting here with Snap. So we had Snap on deck. Let me get you our 5 minute over here so we can look at what's going on. So on the 5 minute, we had Snap here, and it was a horrible trading stock yesterday. So many other things traded much better, and I'll show you that in a second. But this one just very choppy overall. Had good volume pre-market, just didn't do anything after the bell here. Here is Apple. Apple sold off. It took a little bit to get going, but many stocks had this sell off. And again, Apple is just one of these stocks that doesn't really want to sell off. You could tell he was struggling to get going towards the downside. Eventually, he gave in, but it did bounce back pretty quickly towards kind of pretty much flat where it left off. But if you look at others like Meta, this is really selling off here. No bouncing back from there. That was a beautiful entire short for the day there. Tesla, same thing here. Started very early on with a little gradual slope here, sticking to the moving averages. And then you got this drop here with some good, decent volume, right? So some of you guys were already in a short here, and this was just a cherry on top there. If you can make out and catch that move, that is amazing. AMD also sold off pretty well here for the most part for the entire day. Just the entire many of the stocks we had on our list doing that sell-off. My favorite ticker yesterday, and I told you guys about BABA, right? I liked it for a sell-off. Didn't know it was going to be this good, but this was my short yesterday because I love when BABA pops up and sells off. I mean, and it showed that, yes, it showed a little bit of weakness. Obviously, the overall SPY and everything helped it, but it was just setting up nicely for a drop of this level here in the pre-market, and we saw just that. So beautiful trade there in BABA. And then Mara, actually, I replaced BABA. I flipped BABA and Mara because I had Mara on my list. It actually traded very well. Actually, it was a nice short. So I wish I would have taken off Snap instead and kept Mara. But either way, it was a good day if you were looking to short the markets yesterday. Our gappers list this morning, guys, we have a lot in the green. A lot of stuff is kind of doing a little rubber band dance over here, bouncing from yesterday, because yesterday a lot of stuff was in the red, sold off. So we're getting a little bit of that this morning. But there's some big names in here. ENPH, as Jerry was talking about earlier, PGY as well, PayPal. Some names here with some earnings, some news that we'll get into in just a sec. So, Norm, latest and greatest for today and the overall market.
Yeah, man. Jay Powell, FOMC meeting announcement 2:00 today. That's going to be obviously the big thing everybody's talking about. Got 75 basis points essentially priced in here. We'll see if that's what they stick with or if they do more. Doubt they would do less. But and then obviously we're going to have we just got crazy earnings going on. We'll talk about some of those. We've got GDP for second quarter tomorrow. Are we in a recession? They're trying to change the definition, but are we in the traditional two consecutive quarters of negative growth definition of a recession? We'll find that out tomorrow. And then inflation data on Friday. So busy few days.
Yep. It's a lot going on, guys. A lot going on. And hopefully we can benefit from that as day traders. So excellent, guys. Let's get to our list here. We're going to go ahead and remove everything. We'll push Shopify right back here after we get rid of all the stuff we have. And then we'll put SHOP right on here because, again, 3.8 million, down 1.8. And already pre-market. And there's a lot about this that looks good. I like where we're sitting at on the daily here. This daily level. I love the pre-market action, and as Norm mentioned, just a lot going on with this at the moment. So that'll be a fun one to keep an eye on. Our gappers list. Let's see what's gapping up today. Starting with ENPH. This one, our trade ideas is not linked. Let's go ahead and do that. Link our trade ideas over here so we can make this a little bit smoother as we go through these tickers. There we go. Okay, let's bring this down. Perfect. All right, so let's go back to ENPH this morning, up 10% right now. So it's a big gap update for them this morning. And Jared kind of went over this a little bit. Norm, anything else to add to this one?
That Jared did not discuss. I didn't catch what he said on that. I was probably getting my son dressed at that point. But they had earnings last night. They're seeing big demand in Europe because of the energy crisis going on there. So yeah,
not the best intraday trading ticker. We had this on our list plenty of times. I'm gonna put them on here because this is a big pop and they got a big catalyst.
But volume, frankly.
Yeah, the volume is not great. It's 126. It'll pick up at the market open, but again, it's just I don't have high hopes for this. Let's see. We'll come back to it. Here we have PGY, also very active over the last couple of days. This thing is again moving like a low flow. We don't have exact data on what the flow is, but we believe it's we're getting a wide range, 39 in some places, 393 in others. So just treat it like a low flow because it's moving like one. I kept it off my list yesterday, and let's see what it did here. I mean, this thing was on fire.
Apparently, you should not have.
I should have not kept it off my list yesterday. Going from 11 all the way down to 2150, up to 2150 insane, guys. No, remind me what's the news on this. I forgot what's even moving this thing. I can't recall, but
I
I'm
have
gonna
not
add it.
seen anything in the
Yeah,
last several days. So I wish I could tell you. Maybe
yeah.
somebody else knows.
Man, strange to have this back-to-back days that they're having here on the way up with not a big catalyst that everyone should be knowing about, right? So that's kind of concerning a little bit. PGY is saying two. I'm sorry, Night Face is saying 26 millions float. We'll see. It's trading
No,
lower than
30. He
393.
corrected, or he or she corrected
Oh,
that
yeah,
35.9.
yeah,
That having been said, that is what the on FinViz, that's what the shares outstanding say they are. The float would be less than that, but it's blank on here. So, and as we've mentioned, TI has the float at 392 million. So different data feeds, different floats, fairly recent DSPAC. So DAS has it at 392. It does not trade like 392 million. I can tell you that. That
yeah.
does not look like a 392 million share float ticker.
Yep, yeah.
So
It's guys, risky. I'll put it on here on the risky pile. It traded very well yesterday. I mean, it was clean, but just be careful with it. Maribah is saying that hopefully I pronounced your name right there. Maribah, I think it's a Bible name. Is being pumped in discourse. It could be. That's the only that's a better explanation than we have right now.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
if there's no news, it's somebody's pumping it somewhere.
exactly,
Meeman?
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
here is PayPal, guys. So PayPal's up 7.2 earnings last night, I'm assuming, or this last night. Yeah, looks like. Oh, actually, is this earning? This is
negative.
very late.
That is on an activist investor getting involved.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. That's a very late pop there. So getting a nice pop here, 7.3, 309,000. I like PayPal. It could be a hit or miss. I'm going to put them on here. Might not stay on the list, but we'll see. Hopefully they can trade good today. Here's Mara Riot, and I thought I saw also a coin, but maybe not. So Mara Riot all on this list here. Mara has been trading somewhat decent, but it started to come down a little bit, right? We're seeing the volume here kind of decrease a little bit, so it might get back into this choppy action. We'll put them as a possible. So far, we have not seen that. It's been doing very good. So we'll put it on the list for now. I don't like Riot as much. Mara's really the one to trade. That's been trading a lot better with much better volume. T-Mobile. T-Mobile is up 4.3. Jai was talking about this earlier, but I walked away from my desk at that time. So I didn't hear what he was saying about it. But it here up 4.3, 146,000. The only issue with T-Mobile is that they trade like Verizon, AT&T. They're just not great intraday tickers.
Yeah, they had earnings this morning, but I agree completely with what you're saying there.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to add this one to my list, guys. I'm just not a big fan of this. We had T this week or last week that they actually did something. They actually traded somewhat decent, which is normally not the case. On this day here, they had a beautiful drop, and that was clean. But again, that's not typical of them. These guys don't trade very well. A firm on the list, we are up 3.7. Not a great pre-market activity right now, so I'm going to skip on it for the moment. Google on here, we are up 3.4, 838,000. How did it trade yesterday? I'm trying to kind of get a sense of how this thing trades. Didn't look so bad yesterday, but everything sold off, so won't give them too much credit for that. Will be interesting. That's a possible for now. We'll see what we can get out of that. All right, there's Coin. I knew I saw Coin here as well. Coin, the sell-off yesterday, guys. Look at this. I mean, they've been getting a lot of negative stuff on their ticker, and the SEC getting involved, and just a whole bunch of stuff that's just not going well for them. So. Nice big drop yesterday. Today they're down. They're up 3.6, getting a little bit of a bounce. This could be interesting, guys. This coin could be interesting just because of all the negative stuff surrounding that ticker at the moment. Microsoft, big one for today. Let's see here if it loads up. Yep. So we are up 3.1. It could be okay. I like the volume this morning. No direction so far pre-market wise, but I like the volume. We have a 767,000, which for Microsoft is quite a bit. They usually don't trade that much.
They had earnings last
Yeah,
night.
and And I agree they have a nice range here, which again, you're not going to get an AMD, Nvidia, Apple pre-market action on Microsoft, so we'll give it a little bit of a room here. BA also very active this morning. Earnings right, up 3%.
Yeah, earnings this morning as well.
571. This could be good, and I like BA, so I'm going to add them to our list here. And I am going to stop here after CCL, guys. So what is CCL up to?
Nothing good.
No, this is not good. This is garbage. Let's see what's gapping down, guys. SAVA.
I would. You got Nvidia there. I would take a peek at that.
Oh yeah. Actually, Nvidia. Oh yes, right here, Nvidia. See what's going on with Nvidia this morning. So up 2.2. Not the best pre-market, but I like Nvidia, man. I know they can trade well. I'm gonna put them on here. I know it's on our list every day, but they can trade very well. Snap was horrible yesterday, and I expected to be horrible today. Oh, this Meta. How did I miss Meta? It keeps going in and out right here. Meta is definitely one to watch as well. Sold off really aggressive yesterday. I'm going to put them as a possible for now. All right, let's get to our gapping down list. SAVA this morning down at 30%. Ouch! What's going on with this one? Who's getting fired? Who messed up here? They are just getting a bloodbath.
There is a criminal probe on Alzheimer's drug is the rumor. So, yeah.
Oh, that's not fun at all. Yeah, it's not going to be good. So interesting here, guys, down 30%, 1.4 million. I'm going to put them as a possible. I just don't know how great that's going to trade, but that's going to be active. That is a very active catalyst there. AUPH, I'm not a big fan of. Very light on volume, doesn't trade very well, very gappy. We'll skip on down to Norm's favorite red box here, and this one is looking horrible.
Just don't associate me with that.
Let's move on down to Rio, which is overseas mining company, if I remember. Doesn't trade very well. We are good. Yeah, no. We are good here. Wow, everything in our ticker for our list for the most part in the green. Just 2 in the red, which is SAVA down 30%, and we got Shopify down 1.7. But by the time we are done, this thing might be up 3%. We'll see. It's moving very aggressively towards the upside here.
It's busy.
Norm gave us Shopify, which is on here as well. We just discussed. Any other ones that you liked since we last asked?
Not that we haven't looked at. We've got a pretty decent list this morning to consider.
We got a very active list. I agree. Very active list this morning, guys. Let's go to the chat room. What do you guys like this morning? BA is okay. Yeah, BA is on the list. I like BA this morning, up 2.6. And this is great volume for BA, by the way. 580,000 pre-market. You know, it's a nicey stock, and that's good. I like them this morning quite a lot, actually. I like this pop as well, and they can trade very, very clean. SAVA investigation short. No, I wouldn't. I mean, you're down 30% already, so I wouldn't assume you're gonna start, being a short the entire time here. You gotta be careful. Gotta really look at what the price action is going to give you. Can they come back down and test this 11? Absolutely, but I wouldn't have a complete bias. I mean, 30% is a lot already, right? Unless we get more information on that investigation. BVW. What is that? BVW. What is this? No, it's not a ticker. It's not coming up for me. Yeah, it's not coming up. So just check that ticker there. What else do we have? Good morning, Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft.
I'm thinking that was BWV because that's in play. Blue Water Vaccines. I don't know that it's any good, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and guess that's what they were talking about. Okay. But it's
Yeah, I see that on here. It's gapping up 63%. Yeah, it's coming from $1, $2 here. I'm not sure, man. I'll put it here, PGY. We'll look at it in a second. It is very active, obviously. But again, just not my style of stocks to look at. We'll come back to it. All right, thank you very much for that. Apple almost had 2 million shares traded. That's nice. Is it moving anywhere? No, you probably got a couple of block trades because the price action is not really all that exciting. We've seen better with less volume, right, in the pre-market. But either way, it's Apple. Am I willing to add this on here? Absolutely. And then DD929 giving us AMD over on YouTube. We'll definitely add AMD as well. That's a possible. I mean, they're not doing a whole lot right now, but we know they can get going. Our main list today looks really good, guys. We have a couple of things that are just not all tech. So we have, some Shopify here. We have ENPH Energy, just not great. I'm probably going to move this down and bring up an AMD or an Apple. We have PayPal, which it can be very nice. Microsoft will move today. BA is good, and NVIDIA. Great list. Is very well diverse list today. So I like that very much. All right, guys. We are all set. Let's get over to our community events and announcements. We had an amazing webinar yesterday by Andrew. If you guys missed it, the recording should be up. Actually, it is up already. I saw confirmation on that. Let's go ahead and get to bearbootraders.com. And if you come here over at bearbootraders.com and you get to our webinars tab up here, this will give you everything that's coming up for the next 2 weeks so you can stay up to date with what's happening in our community. So here you go.
Just a reminder, every Monday night, 8 p.m. is onboarding and technology with Carlos. That's available to all membership categories, including trial members. On Tuesdays, we've got strategy. As you mentioned, anybody that was unable to check out Andrew's webinar last night, it is already up. Go to the Education Center. You can check it out there. Eamon, next Tuesday, 5 p.m. special time because of his time zone. He's going to be talking about how to read price action through candlestick patterns. And then, there's a gap there. We're filling in some spots. So we will have a webinar 2 weeks from yesterday, but that is not it. So we will update that for you. Tomorrow night, Randy Howell, I'm losing it. Tonight, Randy Howell. I've not, sorry, man. All morning I've forgotten what day it is. 8 p.m. Eastern, Randy Howell, developing your hidden strengths to transform your trading. We've got some people in here giving the room a tryout that have access to that for this one time only. If you have any issues, you can go to the navigation page. Once you are the navigation page, Trader's Home, Members Home right there. We'll show you that in just a second. So, and then Dr. Kenneth Reed next week talking about habits versus rules, easier path to mastery, 8 p.m. next Wednesday. You mind clicking that Members Home and showing people in case they're new?
Absolutely. So just click on here.
You click that Members Home.
It'll take me a bit because I'm streaming and doing all kinds of stuff.
Because you got too many things going on. Yep. Yeah. And then that nav bar on the left-hand side of the page, if you go to the webinars, right there you go, click on that, and that's how you get to those elite webinars. Yep. Enter the room, and you're good to go. Anyway, all right. Now, back to StockTradingSimulator.com. Mentorship on Thursdays. John at 11, Ed at 4, Thor at 8. Don't forget about StockTradingSimulator.com, our free web-based replay simulator. You can go check it out today. And if you're on YouTube and haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, you can go to BearbullTraders.com, scroll down about halfway down the page. Use that promo code PreMarket24 for the intro membership. It is not recurring. It is a one-time payment. $24 gets you 7 days in the room, 5 trading days. And if you'd like to become an elite member after that, use the promo code READ50 to get half off the elite membership, which gives you access to all the webinars we had present and in the past, and half off that and a one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Norm. Good question here. Can you talk about what we might expect after the Fed rate hike? Norm, what do you think about that?
I mean, we're guessing, right? What happens? Yeah. I would say the probability of anything other than a 75 basis point hike is quite low. That having been said, I personally think, in my opinion, once again, that if they went 100, the market actually it might drop, but give a head fake and actually end up liking it. Whether it starts to turn around this afternoon or in the next few days, everybody knows that inflation is a problem. The markets want it taken care of. They've been dropping steadily as inflation has risen and increased over the last months. And we've seen that. So I think two things. I think most people realize that we're probably in a recession. The economy is not good. It's not strong. And they want a remedy for that. And if we get to if they act a little bit faster, get inflation under control faster, show that they're willing to actually do something. Problem is this, really. You remember inflation being transitory last year?
Of
It
course.
was
How
all
could I
bullshit.
forget?
Most people knew it
Yeah.
was BS, right? At the time they're like that, whatever. But that's what they said. And it's like the Fed was hoping. So it seemed like they didn't know what they were doing. It still seems like they don't know what they're doing. So if they get aggressive and do something, I think the market might take that as a good thing and hope it gets behind us faster than not. So
exactly. People are just tired of the next shoe dropping, the next shoe dropping. They just kind of, rip the Band-Aid off and let's get over with. And I think 100, like you said, it will do that. You have some negative reaction to it, but it will do that. It'll help us get over this faster. I agree with that as well.
And somebody's saying depends on if it's more or less than 75 basis points. I can't imagine a scenario at all that they don't cut at least 75 basis points today.
Correct.
With inflation over 9% on the last read and increasing, I don't see that as even a chance. Personally.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, guys. Great question there by Sean. Thank you. Let's get to our list, guys. We'll have time for more questions towards the end once we do these levels here. But let's get some levels done so we're ready to rock and roll, and then we'll come back and answer some more questions. So we'll start here with Shopify, guys. So let's go over here. This is looking pretty good, very active in the green. I said it. This might be going into the green, and here it is. We're looking good right now. Love the pre-market. We are sitting at a 28.96. The high of the pre-market all the way at 33.24. Outside of that, you have your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. And someone asked, can Daytrader Pro manually plot the last 2 trading days highs and lows? And yes, you can. You can manually plot them. I think you meant, Sean, can it do it automatically for you? And yes, it can. You can turn that on. As you can see here, I have mine showing automatically the highs and lows for the last 2 trading days, right? So that's on there already. Towards the top, we got plenty of stuff happening there. Guys, big picture on Shopify here. If you look at this level of support you have, this is a big one. We slammed against that right here in the pre-market. We did bounce above that, so we're in the green now. But a great daily that Shopify does have here this morning. So looking forward to that, guys. I think it's going to be a great mover today. Definitely setting up nicely. We got tons of volume, 5.2, and just look at the action this morning already. So very nice. All right, heading on down to ENPH. I'm going to move this one down, guys. I like the pop. I like what the potential that you can get out of this. But I'm just concerned that it's not going to be a great trader for the strategies I'm looking for. Maybe if you can catch a trend trade, a reversal, maybe one of those slower pace strategies, maybe. But an open range breakup, a high of day breakout, I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not thinking it's going to be a great one for that. Not completely dismissing it. I'll add it to my secondary list. If something can come up out of that, we will definitely take advantage. And then I'll move up either AMD or Apple. Let's move up Apple because Apple's daily is just wild right now, looking very nice. So let's do that. We'll move Apple up on the list there. All right, here's PayPal. PayPal also can be very good this morning. Daily looks good. Low of the pre-market sitting at 81, and this thing sold off yesterday pretty aggressive. Today we're popping up pretty nice, a 7.2. So that has great movement there, and the volume is actually decent for the way PayPal normally trades. They're not a heavy volume type ticker. Roughly around 13 million at times right on here. So again, you're not going to get some crazy pops out of this one, but today could be exciting. So daily looks very good. You see the nice little run up we had here over the last couple of days, a sell off we had yesterday with many stocks in the green. If you look at our ticker list here, everything on our main list is green this morning, either slightly or by quite a bit. But all in the green except for SAVA, which is taking a bit of a hit. The only other one that was dancing with red and green here is Shopify. But I think they'll manage to stay in the green today. We'll see. Above the price action, going back to PayPal here, guys, we're going to mark down 84.83. It's a decent level here, recent highs over there as well. And on the daily, if you head over to the left, you can see a lot of touches around that area, which are looking pretty nice there on PayPal. So I think you got some pretty good levels set there. I don't think you need to add anything more. we are looking nice there. Microsoft, guys, definitely in play today. This stock is up 3.7. A lot of activity earnings last night. We have a 258.88, the low of the pre-market, and then above this, guys, we have our 260.89. In between there, we do have the highs from 2 trading days ago right on here, and that is showing a little bit of support across the board on many of the intradays, daily candles that we have here. So that's pretty good. And then outside of that, if you look at the big picture, I mean, you're set, guys. You got tons of levels. I will actually move. This is the high of the pre-market, this 262. Okay, so that's there. This 266.72, I'm going to move this down. I would rather have this here now, closer to the price action, because obviously you can see the levels here on that 265.16 much better. That is still a level, but of course you want the levels to be as close as possible to the price action. I think this is a better spot for them. These are out of the playing field right now. They're way up there. So these are the ones that we're going to be focusing on. Top and bottom are looking pretty tight there. We have a nice range on Microsoft too, by the way. We're right in the middle of that range right now, right there. So this thing can go either way. We're green this morning, 3.6. Let's see what it wants to do. Here's BA, which can trade very well. Already pre-market is looking very nice. And I know you're thinking, wait, this doesn't look like the pre-markets you've shown us before where you'd like to see the ABCD patterns. I agree. But for BA, we know this ticker doesn't usually put in the prettiest pre-market activity or the cleanest, right? This right here with the type of volume we're getting is actually very good. And the daily is looking very nice this morning as well. Look at the run we had on BA, by the way, 115. Is that what we're looking at? 115 now at 161. Man, what a recovery over the last couple of weeks here. Consolidated here at 140, had a hard time, broke out of that nicely and hasn't looked back since. So BA looking very good right here. Got some momentum on the daily that can hopefully translate into the intraday trading. As far as levels, high of the pre-market 163.70. 163.70. I'm hitting the wrong key. That's why my level's not coming up. Let's get the right key. There we go. 163.80, high of the pre-market, 88 to be exact. And if we look to the left here, look at this. We might have a possible gap fill here on the daily, guys. So we're looking at a 166.83. So we're right at the bottom of this gap fill. We did get to the high of the pre-market. It's actually right in the middle of this gap that we had a few months ago. This is going back into April. So that is very interesting. I really like that this morning on BA for sure. Towards the bottom, looking pretty good. Highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. That is looking very nice there. Let's head over to NVIDIA, one of our favorites. And here, highs and lows surrounding the price action for the last 2 trading days, looking really good. The daily also looking very nice on NVIDIA. Previous day close showing great support here. We sold off, and that's where we found our support at that previous day close line. That has been a level for a couple of days here on the daily. Towards the top, high of the pre-market. Let's see here. I am going to mark down 170.94. All right. A level there, 170.94. And then towards the top, I'm looking at 173.11. So there was slamming level there, and over here as well at 178. So again, that's a stretch, 178. But this thing can move. We've seen this move $8, $10 very easily with not a whole lot of crazy volume, right? Look at the volume here, 76 million. For them, that's not, it's good, but it's not crazy. It's not outrageous, right? They can do that on a normal basis, and they went almost $10 there. So that is not nothing far-fetched for these guys. Towards the bottom, just going to mark down the low of the pre-market. I actually like NVIDIA to head north here. Towards the bottom, we might just have a lot of indecision here. We might not get the cleanest move. I would love to see these guys break out of this area and just kind of head towards that 174, 176 will be real nice. So that's NVIDIA for us there. Here is Apple, guys. Great volume, although I think there's a couple of block trades here on that 1.9 because the price action does not seem like it has traded 1.9 million shares. But overall, has an amazing daily, has been trading very well pre-market, and I'm sorry, not pre-market, and intraday here, and also had a beautiful bounce similar to BA. You can see here going from 130 to 152. So it has a beautiful recovery over the last couple of months here. Hopefully that can continue in the intraday here this morning. Low of the pre-market sitting at 152.51. So we'll throw that there. We'll throw another one, 153.45. And then once you step back and look at the big picture here, I don't think you really need to complicate things. I don't think you need to add anything else. We're kind of stuck within this range we created after we broke out of 150 here. So it's just kind of, we're at the bottom or midpoint, bouncing off the bottom of this range. That was prior resistance. Now it's becoming support. Can we get to that 154? Can we get to that 156, right? Eyes of the spies and the Qs, of course. And hopefully they can give it a little bit of energy and boost here to get this stock going. So another one that I would like to see head towards the top here if we can. That's our list, guys. Shopify, PayPal, Microsoft, BA looking real nice. Let's hope it doesn't get too extended. 3.3 is good here. NVIDIA looking really good as well, especially on the daily. And we have Apple. So yeah, we got a nice list here. FF asking, can we review BABA? Is BABA on our list today? It is not, but BABA was a great trade for me yesterday. So I would love to review BABA. It was one of my favorite tickers a couple of weeks ago. Right now, we do got a decent pre-market activity, not great, but we're not really gapping up or down too much here. Only 1.5. I mean, I really like BABA when you get that initial gap. And for some reason, this stock, it goes sideways for a little bit. And if it's gapping up, 3, 4, 5%, it tends to be a great short opportunity. I'm looking out for that. Here, I'm not seeing that, but doesn't mean that there cannot be other opportunities. We're really stuck within a range here on BABA. You could tell here, right? 106, and we also have the bottom. We have 101. What is this? 101.45, right? So we're kind of stuck within this range. We're right in smack in the middle of it. Yesterday we were in the top of that range, so the sell-off was real nice yesterday, right? Because you got a lot going on here. You got the resistance happening here. Plus, the market overall wasn't strong. So it was just a great setup for that. And BA is known. I mean, look at BA's daily. It's just known for selling off. Gaps up, sells off. Gaps up, sells off. Gap up, sells off. Gap up, sells off. I mean, guys, BABA pops up, just sell it. Just short it, you'll be fine, right? So it tends to do that more often than not on these gap up days. Today, you're not seeing that setup, so I'm not too excited about it. So we'll have to see. Still can be a great long opportunity, right? Because for it to gap down, it has to come up at some time. So 103.015 high of the pre-market, and you're surrounded by this range. So I'll just wait to see what happens. Can we get to the bottom or top of that range? All right, what else we have, guys? So that is BABA. I'm not going to add it to my list, but definitely you can add it to yours. A secondary list, we have ENPH, we have AMD, SAVA. Oh, this was the one that's this will be the sleeper for today. I mean, this one here, I just don't. Well, not a sleeper because it's moving quite a bit, but this could be interesting. There is no shares for short. Oh, now that's not fun. I just noticed that. No shares for short on IB on this one. So that'll stay right on there on our secondary list because I don't want to be forced into a bias on this thing, looking for a long opportunity. I'm not saying it's going to be a short, but it can really go either way here. So yeah, we'll leave it right on there. There's no silly questions, my friend. What's your questions? What do we have? TOS has 10 million available to short. They can. I mean, remember, the inventory is based on brokers, right? Well, what is your broker has available? So I'll be surprised if TOS has 10 million to short. Nice. It's good. But usually it's not the case. Usually IB has a better short list than a TOS, but that's possible. But why is the watch split into 2 sessions? Actually, it's 3. It's 3 different sections here, and I'll explain to them what they are. So here's my list. Usually we're going to put 6 tickers up here, right? This is our main list. These are the stuff that are going to go on my 6 different watch lists over here that I'm going to be looking to find opportunity on. I'm going to be on look at the 5-minute, and I'm going to be looking for an opening range breakup on the 5-minute. That's my strategy there. But these are our 6 main tickers for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes we have 7. We might get away with it, but 6 is the number. And then here's our secondary list, right? This is the list that for some reason I'm looking at my 5-minute, 15 minutes in, and let's say, for example, PayPal's not doing anything. They didn't get the volume because it can happen, right? It could look good pre-market, and then the bell hits and nothing happens, I might look down to an AMD or NVIDIA, a Sava or Mara or Coin to see what's going on there. So this is kind of like my bullpen, right? This is the bench right here. So one of our stars is not doing very well, we can bench them out, right? We'll get one of these guys to kind of fill in. Also, if it hits the scanners, right? Remember, I'm looking at my turbo breakup and turbo breakdown, and you have access to those in the chat room as well from Trade Ideas. Just click on that little name there, that arrow down if you're new, and you can switch over to the scanners. You can get access to that. If something looks good on my turbo breakdown, turbo breakup, it might be one of these tickers. If it is, I know that these tickers were possibility of being on my list. So if it's one of these, I'm definitely going to switch over and see what's going on. Sometimes you get a lot of stuff there that doesn't trade very well. But if it's one of these tickers, like if I see AMD going off on one of my scanners, I'm going to tune into it because it's obviously on this list because I like something that I saw there, right? So not a silly question at all. And then down here we have our risky slash type garbage stock sometimes, right? You got to be very, very careful. And I got to tell you, I normally do not trade these. Actually, I don't trade these. I haven't traded a low flow stock in a very, very long time, probably like 2 years now, or at least a year and a half. But this year, our stocks that are on the riskier side, mainly low flow stocks. Some of them are not low flow. They could be 30 million, but they're trading like a low flow. They're trading, very aggressive. They are in play, but for the way I trade, they're not going to be on my main list. But I want to have them here because we do have good low flow traders that might need to know, hey, these are the stuff that I should be looking out for on my low flow stocks, right? Brian does watch these quite a bit. And look how he trades them. He's very, very cautious. He might put them on his list, but he's very cautious of when he actually takes a trade on these lower flow stocks, right? On this riskier stock. Look at PGY here going from 18 to 19. And you guys remember Tablespoon, TBLT? How much time we have? 9, 10. We got a couple of minutes. Remember this garbage over here? This is why we tell traders, be very, very careful. Let me show you what this garbage did just a few days ago. And I think I did I posted a thing on this on Twitter. You can see here, it's just right over here, guys. Look at the drop, 780 to 560 in a matter. This is the 5 minute, but if you look at the 1 minute, it's exactly the same. So this happened right away. Somebody dumped 500 something thousand shares. And if you were in here, thinking, hey, let's try to get to $8.50, and you get caught in this, you're going to be in big, big trouble. And remember, guys, pre-market, there are no volatility halts, so it can be extremely, extremely dangerous. So low flow stock, guys, this thing is at 2.1 million. And I know I keep saying it, and I know some of you guys know it, but someone out there needs to hear it, and it could be you, needs to hear it again. This is not worth it, right? Andrew talked about this yesterday in his webinar where we have great traders. We see this all the time where great traders, they trade apples to apples, right? They compare strategy, a specific stock, maybe mid to large flow stocks. That's all they trade. And then they go one day and get fancy and trade one of these things, and they lose, tons of dollars on their strategy. They try to do like an open range breakout, but they traded something that was not part of their trade book. That's going to throw your numbers off. Doesn't mean that opening range breakup sucks. It just means that you threw something in there that should have not been traded. It should have been part of your trade book, right? So you got to be very, very careful with this. Just stick to the stuff that has been working. It could be boring, right? You're not gonna do this, right? You're probably not gonna catch a move that's 163%. You're probably not gonna catch a PGY that's up, 21%, going from 18 to $20 at $2 moves, right? You're not gonna get that, but what do you want to do? You got to find out what's more important. Is consistency more important for you, or is it trying to catch one of these high-flying stocks that can rip your face off? And for us, consistency is king, right? You want to be consistent. And building consistency in these lower flow stocks is very, very, very difficult. All right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our moderates lineup, see what we have. Oh, we don't have any moderates lineup just yet. All right, we'll give them a couple of minutes there. As we are waiting for them, guys, hit that thumbs up before we get going here. Peter does not like anything this morning, really. Oh, nice. So hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. It does help us out a lot. It helps out the algo to kind of get the channel to other people and grow our community. So we love that, your help there. As we are sitting, what is our number today of thumbs up? 160. Our goal is 300, guys. So if you could help us, we'll appreciate it. 300 is our goal for the day usually. So it'd be nice to get closer to that number. And 250 is our is our inflation number. So 250 would be like the bottom of that, right? If we don't get to 250, we might need to rethink our process here. Not even AMD for Peter. So yeah, Peter's not liking a whole lot this morning. Dima coming in with her list: Microsoft, BA, Coin, and Apple. So nice list there. Peter, there we go. Peter was kidding around. He likes AMD, Shopify, and Google this morning, and he will wait and watch for the Fed announcement. Peter, when is the Fed announcement? Is it a usual time to get the notes get released at 2 and then 2:30, or is it 2 p.m. Flat? Right, so 2 p.m. They release the notes, computers go crazy, and then 2:30 he gets on the mic, I believe, and then we act crazy based on what he says there. Press conference at 2:30. So be on the lookout, guys. If you're trading during that time, there could be some funky stuff happening. If you're in a position, be very careful because again, you can see some aggressive reactions, and then it might just come back right where you were, but it could stop you out if it's too aggressive. All right, 9:13. We are all set here, guys. Moderators are putting their list together. Today, 3:30, we have the closing bell. So don't forget, Artie and Andrew will be live this afternoon. So hit that notification bell over on YouTube so you can be reminded when we go live a couple of minutes before. And tonight we have our strategy. No, today's Wednesday. We have psychology tonight. Randy Howe, which is an amazing speaker. So don't miss Randy Howe tonight at 8 p.m. He does some really good webinars, and he's also a trader himself. So he's a psychologist plus a trader himself, which that combination is interesting to see their perspective and point of view on things. So success webinar tonight, guys. Do not miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you in chat there. What is the channel that you are streaming on? Oh, so the channel for our members is Bearable Traders. So just go to Bearable Traders on YouTube, and you will see the stream happening there at 3:30 for the closing bell. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right, so we are pretty much set. Did I miss the onboarding? Where can I find FF? You did miss the onboarding. It was on Monday, but I got a recording for you for Monday. We had a good time Monday. We went for like an hour and almost 10 minutes on Monday. We had a lot to talk about. We did the onboarding class, and then we talked about risk management on Tablespoon. We talked about that garbage stock. So send me an email, carlos@bearabletrades.com. Just put in the subject webinar for Monday, and I'll send you the one that we just did this Monday. We had a lot of fun there. So send me an email and I'll forward that over to you, carlos@bearabletraders. Oh, you're in Dubai. Yes, at 8 p.m. could be tough for you. Absolutely. No worries, man. We'll record everything. We'll get you a copy of it. All right, guys, we are all set. Just waiting for Brian to come in with his list, and when he does that, I'll hand it over to him, and then we will be all set here. Do you have a member to sign up for the event in Cali? Yes, we do have a link for that, and I think it was posted right on here. So let me see. We do have a link for our webinar event happening in California. I don't see that link was posted. I'll see if one of our moderators can post that link over on YouTube. And also, guys, notice the message that's pinned on YouTube here. You can check out our free simulator and trading terminal for trades over here. So make sure you click that link and check that out. Completely free to use. A really good tool. But yeah, we'll get that link over to you. Let's see here. If I have that link, I want to send it to you guys so you have it. Let's see here. Oh, here it is. I got it. Let me send it over to you guys. Guys, so RSVP, because space is running out if it hasn't already. So RSVP, there is the link. Let me get this for you guys. There you go. So RSVP for that if you want to join and sign up, and we'll see you there for sure. Dan, thank you. Thank you for the link there as well. Excellent. And guys, we are all set. Another announcement. I want you guys to sign up for Andrew's going to be in the Money Show this Thursday. So this is going to be tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. This will be tomorrow. Sign up for this as well over on YouTube. Guys here in our community, also sign up. Let's go support our guy over there, our brother. He's going to be presenting, and he's going to have an amazing presentation, just like he did yesterday. So tomorrow, that'll be Thursday. Let's go check him out. Guys, we're all set. Here's Mike's watch list BA and BA and PayPal for Mike, and that completes our list. I'll hang out until Brian comes on, so you guys are not sitting there with just quiet. Eamon coming in with his list. Potential longs today, IWM, and potential shorts, FSLY for Eamon today. So that is what he likes so far this morning. Rafsila, you are welcome, my friend. And yeah, so we are looking very good. Yes, in Anaheim, right? So that is where the meetup is going. It's a meetup, but it's more of a retreat, right? So it's going to be a webinar with some presentations from Andrew. I believe Norm will be there, Mike will be there, and Megan will be there as well with Brian. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun, guys. Definitely do not miss it. Tim, throw on some elevator music. No, man, I'm way too energized for elevator music. I need to. If I throw any music on, it's gonna be some some really upbeat stuff, man. Get you all fired up. Oh no, Norm. Oh, I thought Norm was going. Okay, so Norm is not on list to go. Okay, all right, gotcha. Yeah, right. So Metallica or something. All right. Oh, there is the man, the legend, Brian. He is watching SAVA, which is down 33%. He'll be watching PayPal, NVIDIA, Affirm, and BA. So that is the list that he likes this morning. Some pretty similar tickers from what we have on deck: Shopify, PayPal, Microsoft, BA, NVIDIA, and Apple. Guys, thank you so much over on YouTube for joining us. If you hadn't had the chance to hit that thumbs up, now's your time to do that. Thank you so much. And we will see you at 3:30 for the closing bell. Right, I'll see you in the chat room there. We'll have a good conversation, so please don't miss it. And then we'll see you tonight with Randy Howe at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So be on the lookout for that. Where can you go to watch the trading at the open? Dylan, if you haven't, check out our intro membership. Intro membership, PreMarket 24. You get access to 7 days to check out our chat room, both chat rooms, the one from Andrew and Brian where they trade live, and the rest of the moderators, plus the chat room with Ed Trades. So $24 gets you in. PreMarket 24. Check that out. You can see the live trading. Take care, guys, and I'll see you later today.